Welcome to the IT Morning Live on the Inside Texas YouTube channel. Guys, we're here as every Thursday with Ian, Justin. I'm taking over for Joe on these shows. And Tyler is here to introduce you to Tyler Horka, newest member of the IT family. Before we get in and talk about what Justin, Tyler, and I, and hearing what Ian thinks of the first day of fall camp, make sure you're going over to InsideTexas.com and checking out the best promo we've probably ever had. 75% off the first year for new members. It's a great deal to check out all the writing we've had about fall camp and continuing on through August. And, of course, Paul Wadlington's Thinking Texas Football, the 2026 Longhorn Football Prospectus. Go buy that. Go check it out. This show is sponsored by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Big thanks to them over at Academy. Guys, let's get right into it. Tyler, we'll start off with you. First fall camp, I assume in a while, so the Texas Longhorns got a chance to see what was going on with Arch and Co., Steve Sarkisian's team. 2026 roster's got a lot going for it, but what were your first impressions? What was standing out to you the most on your first day?
Well, I'm glad Sark said what he did in his post-practice media availability, because that's the first thing that stuck out to me was just the energy from the coaches. They did not ease these guys into this thing. August can be grueling, especially in Austin, Texas. I think it was close to 100 degrees yesterday. That's the norm, but that adds up over time. But you heard Jeff Banks. Evan, I think you posted a nice video of Will Muschamp there. He was not letting these guys off the hook easily, and I think that was great because when you have a team with as much expectations as Texas, you've got to let the guys know that that's what this is all about. Like, Texas is going into this thing, and this is a marathon from August until January, hopefully for the Longhorns. But if you're a fast marathon runner, you're not going to pace yourself at the start. Like, you have the gall to go out there and really attack it from the start. So that's what I noticed first thing. And then, like you were mentioning, with the talent of the personnel as well, I was really impressed with the running back room. Obviously, the two transfers kind of taking the lead there, but Derek Cooper looks like he's ready to play right now. Michael Terry got a shout out from Sark in the post-practice media availability. He looks different than any of the guys in his unit, which was impressive. And then, I think we'll talk a lot about the wide receivers during this show as well, but I was impressed by those guys, particularly Ryan Wingo.
Yeah, I shouted out Cohen Brown a second ago on my Twitter just because he had a really good day, and I wasn't super observant of the wide receivers, but just positive after positive with a player like him in that freshman class. But, Justin, you were there as well, feet on the ground, and I think you also felt it resonate what he was saying about what Sark was saying, about the coaching staff, right? Like, he gave them a specific shout out in the press conference just about how well they've done and kind of instilling that culture and bringing it that first day. Did it feel different than years past for you? Did it seem like the staff is kind of rounding into a form that's needed for a national championship team?
I don't think it felt that different, honestly. I felt it was more urgency. It was more, hey, we know what's in front of us. I mean, in the past, we've seen guys, hooping and hollering, maybe a little bit more, doing jumping jacks, things of that sort. But yesterday was a business meeting. Like, there's a lot of maturity in this locker room, and there's a lot of expectations this season. These guys know natty or bust. They understand that, and the fact that the players embrace it, the coaches obviously know it. That's what kind of stood out to me. There's an urgency there. There wasn't a lot of hooping and hollering. There was a lot of people going to work. There was a lot of business meetings happening. I got to watch the O-line. We didn't talk enough in the offseason about all the offensive linemen they brought in. Like, I know everyone wanted to get the big portal guy at left guard. They brought in like 5 or 6 guys. They have a completely new second depth chart now. Like, some of these guys look like college football players. They don't look like freshmen coming in that you have to develop. The Coleman twins, they're going to play football at Texas probably in the next year or two. They look great. Paris Patterson from SMU. No one ever talked about him. Lawrence Seymour was probably the smallest guy of the whole group. Sikorsky can play different spots. I thought the vibe was pretty much the same, kind of urgency, kind of a business meeting, kind of a, hey, this is the beginning of something big this year. Let's just keep the main thing. But hey, the coaches brought it. Banks always brings it. Muschamp, that we haven't had. We had polar opposite. PK was like never said a word. Now Muschamp is writing his own cussing dictionary, which I will easily buy. And so it wasn't that much different to me. I just think everyone understands what's in front of them, and it's like, hey, let's have some fun, but let's go to work.
Well, and you're not even mentioning Jabbar Jalouk, who that's another guy you can hear from across the field, a new running back coach. Just a lot of volume from these guys on the staff. And yeah, I definitely felt that from Muschamp. It was that business meeting idea, but it's felt like right as we were kind of getting kicked off the field that he was really amping it up with the coaching style. Like, some of the nickel drills when the guys were doing covers on the inside, talking about the way they need to flip their hips, just screaming at these players. I'm like, man, he's been raring to go for this fall camp for a while. Ian, you're a guy who loves to, talk about, and you just posted a great article on Inside Texas that we'll probably get to in depth a little more later on, but just the things that you want to hear from a coach and the things that maybe you have to parse through what's kind of the BS and the nothing and actually figure out what's important for what we're hearing from his staffs. Did you hear anything from Sark, either in the positive or the negative, that stood out to you from his first press conference that really resonated?
Honestly, I need to go and parse some of his words about Cole Hudson. I know he's been asked about that. I know that has not been something that they've been able to offer resolution on. But I think the way he talks about Cole Hudson is going to be pretty enlightening in terms of like, is this a guy where he's like, we needed this guy to come back, or we weren't going to get this right? Or is it more casual? Like, I think we're good. I mean, this is great. This helps, but I think we're actually going to be okay either way.
Casual. It's casual.
Yeah.
If the more casual he is about it, assuming it's not affected at a poker table, then the better that is a sign for him thinking that Seymour or Chapman can be the answer. Yeah. As we get into it, no big surprise, that left guard spot is like, number one for fans right now and for us is, okay, you guys had a whole year knowing this was the thing. How's it look?
Yeah, his exact quote was,
they do numbers at that spot.
They do.
That was the most obvious thing about yesterday. They threw numbers at it. Hey, we need numbers. All right, guys, step it up.
I don't like that.
That. And the rhetoric with Hudson is like, you don't want Seymour or Chapman or any of those guys thinking, well, is this guy going to come in and start over us right away just because he's done that over the last few years? Or what do our practices, like, what are we practicing for if we're those guys? If this guy's just going to show up and start, which Cole, he's played a lot of football for Texas over the years, but Seymour was brought in to do the same this year, and Chapman thinks he can do the same this year. So to Ian's point, I think the left guard situation is really intriguing because you have so many moving parts there.
Yeah, well, Ian, in that article, what do I not want to hear the second bullet? They're shuffling a few guys around at guard, just trying to find the best five. And we've talked about this at nauseum. Like, you don't want to hear your coach saying, we've got guys. We don't have a guy, but we've got guys at a spot.
If you have four, you don't have one.
Well, that's a good way to put it. The way I always like to put it is the more names a coach has to list to offer a possible answer at a position, the less likely it is that anyone can actually do it.
Well, and I think you're a little happier it's not, the Power 4 programs who have to list 6 edge rushers to try to find an answer for the number 1 edge rusher. That's where their alarm bells are really sounding. Wide receiver 2, which probably won't be Texas's problem this year. We know the pecking order there, but it's still not what you'd want to hear at guard, tight end, as you put it. So just things to observe. But yeah, Sarkisian's exact quote on it was, I think there's some positive signs to that coming to fruition, but we'll see what happens, which was kind of just what it was with Cole Hudson there. So not a lot of urgency in bringing Hudson back. It doesn't sound like it. We'll probably learn a little bit more over these next 1 or 2 days, and definitely into the next week as Kendall Weaver just committed to Houston on the basketball side of things. But, Tyler, really? Yeah, he did, which great fit for him.
My gosh, that's an incredible fit. Kelvin Sampson lives and breathes defense.
Yep.
You can't even walk in the gym and watch practice if you haven't been working on defense in your driveway. He won't even let you come hang out. That is huge. Holy crap. I'm sorry. I'm happy for Kendall. And, of course, I've got family at Houston. Man, oh, God, man. That kid can defend.
He's going to get him in the weight room too.
Yeah, they do. Well, that's good transition us into our first ad break. We'll hear from Academy Sports and Outdoors and talk a little bit more after about fall camp.
I call my style skate to the party.
Can't go wrong with Nike slides.
You gotta show off the muscles. You gotta show a little bit of the thigh.
Right now at Academy, get up to 30% off Nike and Jordan clothes, shoes, and backpacks.
Yeah, fun fact, saw Weaver's car at the Texas parking lot 2 days ago, so I guess that's going down to Houston. But Tyler, you spent a lot of time looking at the offense. We've already talked about the left guard position, but skill, running back, wide receiver. What stood out to you? I know you mentioned a little bit about Michael Terry, but maybe at that top of that RB room with Brown and Smothers. First impressions of the two as someone who has only really gotten a chance to see them on tape instead of just in person.
I did watch Hollywood Smothers play a game at Notre Dame last year, so I've seen that.
Our boys got experience, Veith.
That is a good point.
Notre Dame shut him down pretty good, though, but Notre Dame had a really good defense last year, and I think it said more about NC State's team than it did about Smothers, the way that he fared in that game. But, heck, if the quarterback, I think C.J. Bailey is his name, if he didn't miss Smothers down the sideline, he would have had a heck of a 50-yard gain, maybe turned it into a touchdown. So that was my impression watching him yesterday too, was like top of the depth chart type of athlete, can do all of the things. But then you look at Raleek Brown and you're like, man, he looks really similar. He almost looks like the same guy. Yeah. So the way I see it for Texas is give those guys the ball 20, 25, 30 times a game, averages out to like 15 carries a game for both. They both can catch the ball out of the backfield too. That's why I think the number goes all the way up to 30. But then you have different bodies behind him. I mentioned Michael Terry. What is he, 6'3", almost 230? Like, he looks different. Derek Cooper looks different. He's a guy that just got here, like Sark said. Yes. And you're like, we have the time to mold that guy into an RB1 type of player. So you have 4 to 5 guys at the running back spot. But then I think you have 4 to 5, even more than that, at the wide receiver spot too. And I want to mention this because I mentioned Ryan Wingo earlier. We had some people on our Inside Texas message board saying, is this a bad thing that we didn't hear from Cam Coleman? And I know that Ian mentioned Cam Coleman in his piece this morning. I don't think so, because it's the first camp practice. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff over the middle from what we saw for Cam Coleman. That's not the sexy highlight reel tape stuff. Ryan Wingo caught the deep ball on a great pass from Manning, but he also caught a lot of other passes from Manning as well that had me thinking, and I think Ian even mentioned this in his piece as well. I'm going to keep giving that a bunch of praise there. Like, if Wingo is a do-it-all, can catch all of the routes type of player for Texas, then that just transforms the offense. Because I'm not worried about Cam Coleman. I'm not worried about Cam Coleman in the slightest. He's going to do his thing. If Coleman and Wingo are like 1A, 1B, holy cow, Arch Manning's going to be in heaven this season. And I think it could trend that way over the next month of fall camp.
Yeah, I think about one of the biggest changes in the roster, and mostly just on the looks, whether it be like how they're playing on the field and also just their size. That running back room is just so different. Like, it's a different with Terry officially being there, Cooper being there. I feel like Justin,
like 2021 all over again,
right?
2022 all over again. That room needed a jolt. Mm-hmm. They got the most out of what they had last year. That's not saying a ton. This year, it looks different. And I'm with Tyler. Like, I swear, Smothers and Brown almost cancel each other out. Like, I think they're carbon copies of each other. Now, I think there'll be 30 carries in that room. I don't think they're going to split them. I think there's going to be a little bit of Derek Cooper, maybe some James Simon. You never know. Maybe some Ryan Niblett. We saw him running with the early group as well. But he's right. Derek Cooper, that's the guy that you go, oh, okay, that's what a running back one looks like. Like I was telling Eric, I said, I get an Edgerrin James vibe off this kid, like his body and the way he runs and kind of his attitude and just that South Miami demeanor. Tyler nailed it. The running back room is different. Evan covered that joker last year. He sees there's explosiveness where there was no explosiveness.
Ian, the chat's talking a lot about Michael Terry here, and he's he's a fan favorite, 5-star athlete, but
he's always gonna be.
People love talking about Michael Terry. Yeah.
Hey, he needs to play D-line.
That's right here.
Outside linebacker.
He looks like a wide receiver or a tight end too, Justin. Like, he looks like a lot of things, a lot of good things.
Yeah, Sailor Joe, that's his TED Talk. Terry needs to be the last hour's tight end. Clearly, this is someone who either this year or next, whatever it may be, he's someone that deserves to have the ball in his hands. But what is the best role for him, right? Like, should he be that third down guy? Should he be an H-back tight end type? Where should he be?
It's not running back, but we're not here to make that decision. We're not here to make that call. Michael Terry is a program guy. You need him in your program. He is. Why? Because in the day and age of 2026, he's a very, very young, focused, hardworking kid. Very, very. You want to hear about guys that are freshmen coming in that are outworking the older guys. That's Michael Terry. You want guys that bring skill sets like a little Jordan Humphrey. It took a couple years to figure out what little Jordan can do. It's going to be the exact same thing with Michael Terry. Yes, Ian, I know you want it all wrapped in a box and in a category, and get David Williams off of my face because I don't have enough Big Red in the cooler for him. But Ian, I know you want that like perfectly evaluated. This is his position. This is what he does well. It doesn't work in this. This is not a one size fits only. Okay, give him some time. You know what he's going to wind up being? He's going to wind up being a little Jordan Humphrey type kid. I think he's going to wind up playing some slot, some flex tight end. I just think that's who he is. It's just not established just yet. I want to make one quick thing. I got to talk to Scott McConnell yesterday. He's the basketball SID. Always loved catching up with Scott, one of the best in the game. I said, man, what's the one thing about Gooseby and Marcus Spears that's kind of standing out to you right now? The 2 5-star recruits that came in. You know what he said, Ian? They love to work. When you hear the work ethic, because it doesn't always come with college. It doesn't always move from your parents' house. When these kids are busting their tail and they're great for the program and they're infectious and they're bringing positivity, man, with 110 kids, you need as many Michael Terrys as you can find.
I'll tell you what, I'm mostly sold. I really like the idea of him as another LJ Humphrey guy. So we need to make sure he's around next season in case Sark leaves and Rhett Lashley takes over as head coach. And they actually use Jordan.
You were waiting for that.
If they actually use a real Jordan Humphrey type player with a different kind of offensive coach, boy, he sure could be valuable.
Lil Michael Terry, huh?
Ian, I love Ian. I love Ian so much. That was so backhanded, and that's why he's so great.
Yeah,
he's like a great athlete, but he doesn't play a position that exists on this team.
Yeah, and along those lines, everyone keeps saying short yardage, goal line stuff. You hear
too big.
You hear 230 and you think, okay, yeah, that works for that. But guys, he is tall, man. Like you can't get into those small spaces and find the yardage that you need when you're as lengthy as he is. So the LJ Humphrey, that's a better comp.
Savion Red, anyone?
Wildcat, maybe.
That could work.
I don't know if I believe he's that physical of an inside runner.
Yeah.
He wasn't really that physical an inside runner in high school. He's smooth. Terry. Humphrey is the perfect comp because Humphrey played running back 6'4" at South Lake Carroll. And then he was just unbelievable as a slot in Herman's spread.
Honestly, Lil Jordan was a lot more fluid. I'm not trying to paint him in that picture because Lil Jordan was like a really fluid athlete. Like kid was really good at running back in high school. Kid was really good at basketball. Michael Terry's bigger and stronger.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's ways to use him in this offense. It's just harder with, especially Niblets, right? You know, year 4 as a guy. I know he's not the most popular offensive weapon, but that's another wide receiver type of running back who they will get on the field at some points and
gadget back
play styles. But yeah, it's just, I mean, there's 3 guys ahead of you that are true running backs, and then a guy like Niblet who might come in. So it probably just won't be this year for Terry if they're going to utilize him in these kind of ways.
And then
too many weapons right now. He just needs to bide his time. Go ahead, Tyler.
And then you want to talk about using him in the LJ role, but it's like, well, Texas has so many other receivers that they want to get involved. So it all circles back to where does this kid fit right now?
And
like Ian said, just make sure he's around next year because it might open up for him.
Yeah, it's somewhat champagne problems, and kind of on that topic, like
wait, before we move off that, the longer he's around, under Muschamp's eye, maybe the longer that Muschamp is like, give me that kid.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, I can see this kid coming off the edge. He's got a first step. Now, Michael Terry Sr. or Michael Terry Jr. might be thinking, what are y'all talking about my son like this for? We love Michael. We love Michael III. This kid can do a lot of different things. Andrew.
All right, let's.
Andrew came in here and chose violence, and he is the most peaceful person on our staff.
That's hilarious, Drew. Let's talk about some of these. We mentioned Coleman, Wingo. Let's talk about wide receivers 3 through 6 in that area, because not every team cares all that much about it. But when you're Texas and it's Emmett Mosley, Jermaine Bishop, Dalen McCutcheon, Khalid Lockett, those kind of players. I mean, these are the kind of dudes that could be starting in a lot of Power 4 programs. Tyler, what was your first impressions of those guys in day one of camp? Who stood out? Brett Bishop's, of course, the guy that people are going to want to hear about.
Yeah, I didn't watch Bishop as much, but Lockett and McCutcheon definitely caught my eye, just as guys who, like day one of camp, and I'll go back to something Sark said again, he kept saying day one of camp. Literally with every answer that he gave, he said, no, it's day one, it's day one. But when you do go out there for the first time, you can kind of look at, especially the younger kids, like the old guys know how to move out there. We were talking about that with Brown and Smothers, right? But you look at the younger guys, like, do they look like they're getting from point A to point B with a purpose? They know what they're doing. Like Cam Coleman's going to do that. Ryan Wingo at this point, you hope is going to do that. Are Lockett and McCutcheon doing that? And I thought, yes. Like special teams, we saw a lot of that at the beginning yesterday. They're the first two gunners out there.
Yeah.
Special teams coaches are like, hey, you guys set the example for.
I love that.
Ryan Wingo went after them. So, in the same spot. So it wasn't just the pass catching, the route running, but we could talk about that too, because I think those guys are fluid. And like Texas is recruiting certain athletes. And I say this all the time. And I think I even wrote about this earlier in the week for Inside Texas is like, you have to have the top end wide receivers to win national championships. Look at Indiana last year. Those guys made Fernando Mendoza better. Look at Ohio State 2 years ago. Like games on the line, who do you throw it up to? It's Jeremiah Smith. Now, the guys we're talking about here, they're not Jeremiah Smith. There's only one of those in the country. But if you can accumulate as many guys that are as like close to that as you can get, then you're talking about a really good passing offense. And I mentioned it earlier, like if Cam Coleman and Ryan Wingo are 1A, 1B, and then you have a bunch of young, talented kids underneath that who are giving you big catches in big games, then I think Texas is on its way with these guys. And yeah, I was impressed by the way that the wideouts were moving yesterday. Now there were some drops and there was some sloppiness too. You have to point that out. But again, what did I say at the beginning of this long spiel? Day one, you're going to get that, clean that stuff up by September.
Tyler, can you compare and contrast watching Texas and their receivers and their passing drills versus what it looked like at Notre Dame for the last however long you were there?
Well, it got better at Notre Dame. I was there for 5 years. If you go back to 2021, you would have been like, these guys aren't going to beat Ohio State in a shootout. Like, are you kidding me? They lost to Cincinnati at home in 2021 because they couldn't throw the ball. And quarterback was a little bit of a part of that. And they figured that out too. I think CJ Carr is one of the best, 5 quarterbacks in the country, as I do with Arch Manning. But from the receiver spot specifically, yeah, it got better. But that's because Marcus Freeman's a smart head coach. He can recruit. Steve Sarkisian knows how to recruit offensive talent. And it's the same thing that I'm saying. What's
up now? How does it look now?
Right now, it's tough to really say what Notre Dame has because so many of their guys are young. I mean, a lot of them are true freshmen. Many of them are redshirt.
We got it, guys. It's Texas.
Yeah.
If Jaden Greathouse is still the best athlete in that room, Texas is looking fantastic.
And I don't think he is, Justin.
I know he's not.
And I love Jaden Greathouse. His parents live in Austin.
We do too.
They've already invited me to dinner at some point while I'm here, so I can't wait to get out and see them. But
great people.
No, they've recruited past Jaden Greathouse being a number
possession
one
types. Yeah.
And you have to. That's what I'm saying. Like Texas is doing it the right way. Ian, to answer your question, if I had to take one of the 2 wide receiver rooms, I would take Texas's because Notre Dame doesn't have a Cam Coleman. Like, put it this way, Notre Dame is relying on 2 Ohio State transfers who have a combined 9 catches in their college careers to be top 3 guys. And Jordan Faison is their number 1 guy, and he's 5'10", $185. He looks like me in this polo right now. Like, he's a great player,
Lacrosse player,
but he's not a Cam Coleman. He's not a Ryan Wingo. He doesn't look like those guys. So yeah, I think Texas has a better wide receiver room overall.
Speaking Ian's language there, am I correct, Tyler, in saying that Lorenzo Styles, who ended up being Ohio State's nickel, was a leading receiver at one point?
Yeah, he was their guy. He was like, this is the guy that's gonna be the Will Fuller and the Chase Claypool. And no, it didn't happen that way. Like you said, he ended up playing DB at a wide receiver factory.
You just threw me back to 2015.
No, let's not go back there.
Will Fuller and Josh Adams.
Chase Claypool, Ian. That's a name for Steelers guys.
Well,
Lorenzo became a great nickel at Ohio State last year, though.
Yeah.
He really put it together.
I mean, look at his brother. That's a football family, man. Those are good football players.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, man, thanks so much. You gotta go dictate, police that board. So we're gonna say goodbye to you right here. But man, it's been great having you on. We'll hear more from you as we get through fall camp today. We've got more coming today, and then of course Friday, I believe we have some availability. So thanks so much, Tyler. We're gonna hear from Andre the lawyer, and then jump back in with Ian and Justin for the last half hour.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Real quick, Ian, before we get into a little more about your article, talk more about fall camp. Indiana or Texas wide receivers this year? Just gut feeling. Who do you think's going to be better?
This year?
This year.
That's not even close this year. They lost guys.
But I mean, Nick Marsh replaced. He might be
I forgot about they brought in Marsh. And I forgot about they brought in Marsh.
Becker was their best guy to end the year. Cooper was very good, though. And I think
it's more even than I thought.
Yeah, it should be Texas, but it's not a sure thing.
Not a sure thing.
I mean, what does Becker look like when he's the actual number 1 versus playing off those other 2 killers? And my concern is that Becker is good, that Marsh is a better version of what we want Wingo to be on like slants and screens and unders. They have another slot that looks pretty good too. But I think it'll be Texas. I think the Texas dudes should be more skilled and polished this year. And then what Texas has that those guys don't, except maybe Becker, is the Texas dudes are not just fast and athletic. They're all huge.
Yeah.
Ryan Wingo is significantly bigger.
He's big, yeah.
That's part of what they had last year is that Cooper and Surratt were pretty big guys.
Yeah.
Not like they weren't like Megatron, but they had good size. They had like Mosley type size at least.
So.
Wingo gives me like Anquan Bolden, David Boston vibes.
David Boston, there you go.
He's just big.
Yeah. Those pictures we got from the photographer Justin right at the start, I was like, man, this makes him look real. He is football ready. He could go out today and play a full 4 quarters of football, which I mean that's what you're hoping for in fall camp. But pretty impressive stuff. I think that they're seeing. It's always a cliche. If you aren't seeing any improvement S&C from your team that you're covering, then it's big bad news. But you're seeing it this year at Texas. Let's go into Ian's article and talk about what we do, what we don't want to hear about the offense for fall camp. What's kind of going through. We'll probably hear a little bit more actual stuff from Sark as it goes on. It's not he can't just say it's day 1 of camp anymore. But first off, I mean, the main man, Arch Manning. Arch Manning is lighting things up and is ready for a Heisman level campaign. Ian, pretty self-explanatory here. We don't just want to hear he's good. We want to hear this is the best version we've seen of Arch Manning.
Yeah, he should be putting together a Heisman type season. We need to see this guy finally put it all together and be just like the Texas quarterback Rushmore dude that we've seen glimpses of. I don't want to hear another like slow going in camp or, still working to connect with his receivers or like it should, he's at the point now where it should really be starting to come together in an obvious way, regardless of the other variables.
Yeah, we're in year 4. This was a 5-star recruit. And it's also, we know it's there. We saw it being there. And there was not reports from camp from us. And, Sark would admit this, Arch would admit this. The mesh problems weren't that well documented because they weren't really around last year. And that was a big thing that held him back. But I do think we just need to hear Justin a little bit higher of a point of view from Arch Manning than maybe we previously heard. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. This is going to be a national title level quarterback.
It is. And the craziest thing about Arch Manning is that it's always been that expectation that winning the national championship as a quarterback has always been wrapped around Arch Manning. Why? Because that family is synonymous with winning at the quarterback position. It just kind of comes with the territory. Chris Del Conte got emotional talking about this kid last weekend at an event we were speaking at. He's like, he's never seen so much vitriol towards one young man just because of the name on the back of his jersey. Like, it was brutal. And he said what happened was he wound up coming out a better, stronger quarterback, but the team just like will run through a wall. They've seen what he's done, and he never threw anybody under the bus. He always took accountability and responsibility. And then I'm watching him yesterday. That ball comes out about as easy as putting butter on bread, dude. Like, it's just pop. It's a dot. And we've seen Quinn Ewers. We've seen Hudson Card. We've seen Sam Ellinger. We've seen guys that can throw the ball relatively well. I don't remember Texas having a guy like this. Like, he was dotting dudes up. Masunas in the triangle, in the cone, Wingo, like, and he doesn't take himself too serious. I think that's the biggest thing of all this. Arch Manning keeps the main thing as good as anybody in the program. And considering his stature, his expectations, all the things, he can't even walk to the store without getting mobbed for photos and autographs. You expect him to fail, and yet he keeps swinging. He keeps jumping up out of the pile, throwing hands with you. This is a dude. If you're going to win a national championship, Arch Manning is the type of quarterback you're going to do it with.
Yeah. And it really just has been set up this way for Manning for some time. But you make a good point. It did feel pretty effortless, like such a day on the job. I'm used to this kind of environment for Manning. And there's not much concern for me from the mechanics standpoint. I know people are going to do that.
His
for the
feet
rest of his
are
career.
bunion free since 2026. Okay, there's no more biscuits. He had bunions the size of biscuits on his feet in those last games where he was running the football. He looks great. You know what he looks like? He looks like a kid that doesn't have a bunch of giant marks on his feet right now. He looked like he was happy to go.
Yeah, that pedicure place must have loved him there. Let's move on. Manning and Coleman have a terrific connection. And as we're here,
saw Manning sell one to Cam on an out route. I mean, I think he almost hit somebody on the sideline. And I thought, I'm not going to post that video.
What's one thing that it could be a nothing, it could not matter, but I wonder if it's sort of underrated is, when the team splits into special teams drills right at the start of practice, there's only 3 guys and 2 groups that don't do special teams. It's, part of the O-line, part of the D-line, and then Arch Manning, Colin Simmons, Cam Coleman. Those are only 3 people who aren't really doing anything special teams, of course, the rest of the quarterbacks. But, Coleman's the one that's taking a lot of the shagging from the quarterbacks, right? Like, we're just doing warm-ups, throwing to Coleman. We're doing this. Coleman's hands are the ones we're throwing it to. I wonder if that matters. Like, I wonder how – and that's something I'd like to hear from Arch. Like, if that helps him build the connection with Coleman, because it does seem like this is the key factor of this Texas team. Arch Manning to Cam Coleman, Ian. If that doesn't work, then what can with Texas in 2026?
Yeah, I should have explained this in the article, but the way this offense hits its highest level is if on any given play, Arch can look over, see that they're one-on-one with Coleman, and know we got a 50-50 shot at a touchdown or a throw to the midfield on this play. And it's just automatic, boom, boom, connection. When you can do that, it puts stress on the end zone that the other team has to address. And then it just changes how teams can play you. The run game, it becomes easier. Scheming window open gets easier. You can get screen pass, whatever. Everything becomes super easy when the other team has to worry on every single play. Hey, Manning could just peek over and find Coleman and throw it deep and hit it and score a touchdown on us. So this is the most important thing.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like, it felt excruciating when sometimes Texas had to make 3rd and 2 creative as Ian's popping out. Like, sometimes it was just too hard for Texas last year, even if it did work, even if the success rate was good for that specific game. Justin, I think both of these bullet points from Justin are saying, like, it just has to be easier for Manning with the receivers that are on the field.
And it will. These things have to grow organically, okay? And it takes time, it takes reps. And in this day and age where it feels like every season, half the teams in college football have a brand new starting quarterback. Because of the way the portal works, we are seeing brand new quarterbacks virtually everywhere in every conference every year now. And so the fact that you have a guy that's been there, that he understands that. Look, the fact that he understands the system as well as he does, I think is as valuable as his passing ability. Like there's so many things. I think Sark, if we wondered why Sark is so confident, he's had an air of confidence this summer. And when he talks in interviews, it's because he knows he doesn't have to overthink his plays with his quarterback. I think he can just give his quarterback a handful of looks and go, Archibald, go do your thing, man. And so the fact that he's been there, the fact that he's got experience, the fact that he did tinker with his mechanics, every quarterback needs to be fine-tuned. Arch got a good dose of that in the middle of last season. He's been able to carry that over. I think it's the timing. It's the experience. It's being within the system. And plus, I think Sark calling plays with this guy, I think is going to be a lot easier for Sark because I really do think some of this stuff is going to be more simple than people are making it.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of it's just going to be, you got to see it on the field at the end of the day. Like we have to be theoretical until it's around. And then when it's there, it's going to be really nice to see. Let's talk about some things you don't want to hear. We've already mentioned a few of them, but kind of 2 position groups in one because it's a similar idea. All 4 of these tight ends can play, and they'll have a big role for each of them. And they're shuffling a few guys around a guard, just trying to find the best 5. We mentioned it earlier, but it's just, if it's 4, then it's not 1. And you do, maybe with this tight end room, you do hope for 2 to emerge, specifically with the 12 personnel. And we have a good feeling these guys will be able to block, but we also need to see some positive trends about their pass catching abilities as well.
Yeah, I really need to see that Townsend. I mean, what we want to hear is that Townsend has figured it out and that he's versatile enough to be a starter in 11 personnel. That's what we want to hear. Shannon and Masunas are great for there is a place for having roles where you get big on the field and you run the dang ball, right? Shannon and Masunas can be inline blockers. We know Masunas can bring that punch and size in the line. But you really want to hear there's a dude that you trust for any situation to be a good supporting player. I don't even need to hear that Townsend is going to catch 50 balls. I just want to hear that Townsend has enough command of the playbook and the offense to be a reliable blocker in a million different roles in 11 personnel.
Yeah, do a lot of different things.
If not him, that Shannon can do that and not gut the passing game, which I don't think he will. I'm not super worried about this one, but I'm a little bit worried. I just want to hear that there's a clear Shannon or Townsend is can be an every down dude and be really solid at everything.
Well, Justin, you said Masunas had quite a good day on the field.
He did well. He catches the ball.
He does.
A lot of tight ends catch it in the body. They just do naturally, it seems like. He didn't. Kind of stood out to me. He was away from the hands top body type guy. I thought he looked pretty good. We saw some drops. Spencer Shannon had a couple drops, and Mari Winston had a couple drops. But honestly, I think it's Nick Townsend and everyone else. Like from an athletic standpoint, from an upside standpoint, from a versatility standpoint, Nick Townsend just brings a different skill set than the rest of these guys.
Yeah, moving on to that O-line. Just want to hear a left guard. We want there to be a left guard, whether it could be Cole Hudson for all we know. But, Sikorsky, Chapman, there is a good group to be competing for. I think a better group than what ended up being last year's left guard competing role, which is very important. And you mentioned it earlier in the show, Justin. I think like that second line of the offensive line just completely revamped it in a positive way. And at least the size of these players is really standing out. But, Ian, we just want to hear that preferably Seymour, but someone has solidified that left guard role.
Yeah. I guess we want it to be Seymour, right?
I think so.
Chapman, maybe.
Ian, I got to tell you, Seymour is small.
Skinny, bro, not skinny.
Seymour is like short.
Yeah, I know.
Like Ian Boyd short.
I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
I don't think it's that bad.
Speak tall.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Dylan Sikorsky is going to be the guy that I think surprises you.
I don't know. I
think he can play some center too. I think he's versatile. He's big.
I need to see how he moves after the summer with Torrey Beckton. I think he's like, when they got him, I was like, this guy's good fit. I wish he was a little older and more developed, but
sneaky depth.
But he was a good fit, and you could tell he's a guy that could probably play for us eventually. But year one, because here's the thing. Everybody else in the line, like if y'all watch that Landon Tingwall video or the interview that me and Connor did with him, he noted that everyone on the Texas line is like athletic and super mobile. And so you can just build your scheme and all your blocking stuff around, hey, we're going to ask all our guys to be really mobile and athletic. And we won't have necessarily a ton of punch or push at the point of attack, but we'll just build around being fast. And that kind of, I worry that goes out the window if you have Sikorsky in there, because everybody else is like fast and kind of lean even. And then you get this one dude that's just like a fire hydrant, right? And if he doesn't move super well, then all of a sudden your plan to be like super mobile to either side of the line could go out the window, unless he's gained some speed from working with Beckton.
Some color analysis in the background there.
Hey, she's dropping knowledge, man. The Boyd family, they roll deep in the word.
No, I mean, I think that's it. Part of it is that it was good that they took the shots that they did on the O-line just to have this many options. And, and Chapman's entering year 4. I think Kojo's probably a tackle right now.
Kojo's a tackle. He played some left and some right tackle yesterday.
Guys, what if it's halfway through the year, they've already taken on a bunch of water, and then they're like, oh, fine, maybe we'll put Kojo at guard, and then the team takes off. I can't do this again.
Ian.
I can't do this again. Y'all better figure this out, Kyle.
We're moving on. They just need to clean up negative plays. Not something that maybe we'll see very much.
There she is.
Something that maybe we won't be able to see much of in day one, and even some overthrows might have shown that in a bad way. But we can't be hearing Sark talking about it and about the negatives, either it being penalties or turnovers, the way it kind of was last year.
You can't see Nick Brooks and Connor Strode jog out there at that spot. You can't send Nick Brooks to left guard and the left tackle look at him and go, what are you doing here? You can't have that again. No way, no.
Dude, I think if they had played Brooks there the whole time he'd been at Texas, it might have been okay. He was the best. I mean, he was a way better athlete. He was a way better athlete than the other guys.
He's an incredible athlete. Nick Brooks is a great athlete, and he's a guard. It's funny now everybody sees him as a guard, and I told you all for 2 years this guy was a guard. Oh, he's a tackle. Oh, he's playing some left tackle in practice and looking good. No, he's not a tackle. I told you jokers for 2 years he's not a tackle. You finally learning. Kid didn't have a kick step to save his life. He was offsides. It was illegal procedure every snap in high school because you couldn't even bend down.
That's just
They didn't have 5 guys on the line.
You know, I'll tell you what. I watched Brooks against Florida, and I was like, I get why they did this, though.
Right. His tenacity is different.
And he just moves, and the other guys couldn't move.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what.
He was eager to, too, Ian.
He didn't stick at left guard, but he did play there for one of the biggest wins of the season the next week.
It's true.
It worked. They made it work for that next week against Oklahoma, and he did not kill them against Oklahoma.
How did Venables not destroy that?
Because he run blocked pretty well.
Right.
And then I was talking with our buddy Shane, and he was like, "Yeah, we kind of made Venables disappear in their shootout." And I was like, well, they called one deep play action pass the entire game in the Red River Shootout last year, and Manning almost immediately got obliterated.
Yeah.
What they did was they just ran the dang ball and threw it short all day long. Yep. And that was and Manning was
controlled the clock, controlled the time, controlled the tempo, controlled the ball game. Sark knows how to beat Oklahoma. He's I think he's got BV figured out.
He should do that more often, especially with Manning. You can let Manning dink and dunk teams, and they were too slow.
Ian is preaching. This is so much truth. This is where I think Sark gets a little too greedy. He gets a little too creative. Oh, let's try this. And I'm for that. But, man, the simple stuff. Arch Manning, he doesn't just drain the deep three like Steph Curry. He finishes at the rim, too. It's okay to get the layups and the free throws. And over the course of a 15 or 16 game season, I think some of those games would be refreshing for this team.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna hit some questions from earlier in the show as we wrap it up here.
Go get her, Ian.
DKW, which true freshman this season do you think could go under the radar but be one of the best players this season, whether it's on the field or scout in practice? I think it could be Cohen Brown, which I think is a great shout because
Richard Wesley.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Richard Wesley acts, thinks, works, and operates like a 28-year-old man.
Yeah.
And guess what? We saw one reclassified true freshman, Evan, yesterday. He didn't look ready for practice.
I was just about to – I was literally
– He didn't look ready. And we were like, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. He's just – it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Yeah. It's just not
Richard Wesley is in the same exact boat. Yes, I know he got there earlier. Wesley started this process 2 years ago. But just because you're reclassified doesn't mean you can't show up ready to get after it. Richard Wesley, that's the guy. That's the guy. As soon as Colin goes to the NFL, Richard Wesley's going to be the edge guy on this team.
I think Brown's a great point. I'll throw in Rocky Cummings, too, as like a practice squad winner throughout the season.
Let me say something, though. This is kind of not a thing anymore.
What's that?
Like we're all used to like the freshmen that come in and have a big role immediately. I think we'll see that now and again at Texas because Texas recruits that high level of an athlete where it's like
they have to kind of do that.
And they kind of have to. But I'll tell you what, one of my tricks every year that I've developed when I'm evaluating teams in the offseason is I go and I look in their like secondary in particular and quarterback, and I see who's got veterans and who doesn't. And it's like a cheat code to knowing which teams are going to be good. But now when I do it, everyone has figured it out. And everyone is loading their quarterback room and their secondary with veteran transfers. So it's just not really like even in the SEC. The SEC used to be all about recruiting. And now these SEC teams have figured out, like, you know what is better than a 4-star freshman safety is a former 2-star 6th-year safety that we've seen knows how to do the job.
Or like a Justin Cryer, a 5th-year linebacker that is already a damn good college football player and understands everything that's going on around him already.
There's a lot.
He's invaluable.
Yep. Linebackers, safeties, interior linemen, quarterbacks, tight ends. Even if they're not stars, if they're just like solid veterans that know what to do, you're going to be a lot better. And so it's really hard for freshmen to break out now because it's become a veterans game. That's why the Big Ten their top teams keep winning now. It's because they're old.
Yeah, this brings up a great quick comment from earlier on Derek Williams. I was looking at the safeties a lot, and I think because Williams didn't, it's not that he didn't stand out, but he was just kind of going as business as usual, as we talked about. Like it's clear that the top two in the safety room are McDonald and Williams, and you don't hear Gideon or Muschamp having to get on him too much. And I think it's just Justin. This is one like,
who looked the best? Who was the best looking safety yesterday? It wasn't the guys you just mentioned.
I was just going to get there. Justin, I do think that Williams is the starter, and we've kind of brushed past these. Is that going to be a room that we'll have to see competition? But Kobe Black looked damn natural as a safety there, and I thought Jordan Johnson-Rebel looked ready to play football. I mean, that's a guy who looks like he's going to be able. It's a specific role. He's going to need to be in the box, big nickel type. Kind of secondary linebacker even. But speaking of fire hydrant, I mean, that dude is just built to tackle in the hole. And I think they're going to have some good depth at safety that maybe he's been a little underrated or even kind of worried about. I'm not sure I'm at that point here.
Yeah, so Kobe Black looked like he's played there for 3 years.
He looks
and
great.
Don't be surprised if we see a scenario where it's Jelani and Kobe back there at the both safeties. And there's a couple reasons. One, they've done it before. They did that in high school. These kids were good friends in high school. That's what they did in high school. Like they understand each other very, very well. They're on a string. And Kobe getting so adjusted at such a small window, I think says a lot. Jordan Johnson-Rebel is a one size fits all. That guy can do a little bit of everything. I love the fact that he's got some star reps because now he's got linebacker concepts, and now Gideon will trust him more in trying different things. And then Jonah Williams, that's the biggest. I don't have any expectations for Jonah Williams this year. Like my expectation is that he's healthy, that he contributes on the football field. We've talked a lot about this guy for 18 months. So I want to see what he does on the field, but he's going to have to knock Jelani and Derek, Kobe, and Jordan, and Xavier. Like there's dudes back there, okay? There are guys back there, and so it's not going to be easy. But that's why you're at Texas, and that's why. Listen, we talk about the player additions. Blake Gideon might have been the best acquisition of the entire program.
Yeah,
and I think now that Gideon. Now that he's got a point.
That's very
true. But
I will say,
Muschamp also help them get Gideon.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I know I've seen so much of what Gideon's done in the last 6 or 7 months, not just from a developmental standpoint, but a recruiting standpoint. Man, that guy's hire was. We talked about him a lot at the Texas Exodus event Saturday. Like that was a very big hire. And that room, and Ian will agree with this, that room needed it badly.
I was pretty close to the safety room a lot yesterday, and Jonah was right there. And I think Jonah felt the heat a lot. He was one of the players that was probably struggling most with exhaustion and hydration. So that I just think he's ramping up, right? Like he didn't really get a spring camp. He was recovering from injury. I wouldn't write out the idea of him playing these kind of dime packages, especially later on in the year. But I think the room is better than people were giving it credit for, deeper than people were giving it credit for, which he could be that safety 3 by the end of the year. But I don't think they need him to be that. And it might not.
They don't need him to be, Evan.
It might not be the best look if it ends that way.
They need to see him as a heat-seeking missile on special teams. If I see him coming down the field laying hat, that's what I want to see from Jonah Williams right now. Make an impact on special teams. Let me see you disassemble somebody.
Are y'all saying you think Kobe Black looks better than Derek Williams? Was that what y'all were hinting at a minute ago?
I'm not saying better,
but
he stood out.
Kobe looked like he was a starter back there.
How did in what ways did he stand out?
His
feet move well, yeah.
Like he's got a fluidity to him when he turns his hips. Yeah, that's just very, very natural. Now Derek has.
He was playing high level corner a minute ago,
but we're trying to get that explosiveness back with Williams. I think that's still because he did have a bad injury, so I think that's. And I don't think he's necessarily taking a step back, but I think in that time, Kobe has been able to catch up more. And here's another thing: a lot of times it's just when the kid turns the page. The best player on the field yesterday was Justice Terry. Why? Because he turned the page. He's been on one for the last month and a half during summer workouts. He looks incredible. It's just the timing of it. Kobe Black's going into his third season. This is the year that Kobe Black would turn the page. He looked really good. Hey, it's a great problem to have, Ian. If Derek Williams brings back some of that explosiveness and Jonah Williams gives you something in dime, the safety room is going to be really, really impressive.
Any final thoughts, Ian?
No, I'm curious to see. I mean, Kobe Black being the most athletic, smoothest looking safety, that makes sense. I thought he looked really good at corner in the spring.
I think they're trying to figure out a way. They saw something in the spring and the summer, and they're like, we got to get Kobe Black on the field. We got to get him on the field.
The only thing with safety is just that you have to learn to process multiple things at the same time.
Right. There's a lot more to it, but in traditional values, you're a corner until you're a safety.
Yep. So I mean, I'm a big believer in this. If it works immediately, where he's able to start this fall over Derek Williams, then wow, they must have really hit the jackpot. I think I'm a little slow to think that he's actually going to beat out Williams for that job, though.
I think they're waiting on Williams to kind of take it, to kind of like jump up and go, hey, be the freshman that took it from Andrew Makuba.
22.
I think they're waiting for him to come up and go, hey, this is my job. This is my spot. Because, Jelani's done that.
Yeah, fair. Great discussion, guys. And make sure for all of what we've talked about and then way, way more, you're going over to Inside Texas and checking out this awesome deal. 75% off your first year for new members, fall camp sale, just the best you're going to get in the Longhorn space to learn all about this Texas team and even more in depth than what we're talking about with these position groups. Of course, check out Paul's book, Thinking Texas Football by Paul Wadlington. You can buy it now. Ian, Justin, Tyler from earlier, back there.
Great job, Evan. Hey, beef. Way to bring it.
Thank you, Justin. Thank y'all so much for listening, chatting on. Really good chat we had today. We'll have a good one. We'll see you next time.